I had a guy one time, I was doing deads, and he said, "What part of the back are you focusing on?" And I said, all of it. A lot of people are bringing a scalpel as a tool when they should be bringing a sledgehammer.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to It's Just Bodybuilding. I'm your host, Big Ron Partlow, my co-host, Dusty Hanshaw, and the producer, Scott McNally. Remember, like, share, subscribe, comment, and
ring the bell. I made you wait for it.
Ring the bell. Yes. And, of course, remember, IamMutant.com. Go on IamMutant.com. Proud sponsors of the show. They've been taking care of Dusty and I for a long time. How many years have you been with Mutant now, Dusty?
Total. Let's see, we're at 8 right now.
Wow. And you had a 1 year break in there, didn't you?
Yeah, I took a little pause. We missed each other. We came back. It was a break, though. It wasn't a break up.
Yes. No. It was good. You went and died, and then you came back.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Well, I've been with Mutant now, I guess, 12 years. Over 12 years.
Wow.
Damn.
So, yeah, take real good care of me and Dusty. And now they're helping out the show, so they're helping out Scott.
They love hardcore bodybuilding. That's really what it comes down to, you know?
So, IamMutant.com. Get your ISO Surge. Get your All-In Madness pre-workout. And everyone should get on the gear. Get on the gear. And use a code. Dusty20. Big Ron 20. There.
Mission accomplished.
We're done. We're on to the show.
Yes.
Yeah. By the way, we went full names again. I noticed.
Yeah, there was a little bit of pushback on the single name.
You never know. People might not know us. People might have just tuned in to hear this topic, and they're like, "I don't know who these guys are." It's Big Ron. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, I never know. It could be someone's first time, right?
Yeah.
And you guys commented when we got on. I had the fresh shave.
Whoa.
Sharp and the fit, it's all gone except for the brows.
We got a question, speaking of which, and it was a while ago. I forgot to put it up. Somebody asked Dusty what he uses to shave his head. So, like, later on down the road, we'll have to remember to get that one in here.
Okay, we'll get to that one. What's our opening topic? We had one. We were talking about feelings, weren't we, guys?
Yeah, no one cares.
No one cares about your feelings. So there's always inevitably, you'll be talking to someone and they'll say something like, I'm trying to grow my quads. I'll use this as an example. Maybe they're trying to grow their quads. Yeah. And they're like, but I'm just not feeling my quads on my leg presses, for example. Could be any exercise, but we'll just pick this one. We'll just set up a scenario. And you say, okay, well, where are you putting your feet? You get the mechanics out of the way. Maybe they show you a video and they got like a good, relatively quad dominant stance. They're going nice and deep, getting really good knee flexion, getting that, full rep look at the bottom where the quads are mashing against the pecs. Everything looks good. Yeah. And they say they've actually been training lighter to try to feel their quads more.
Yeah.
Do you think this is necessarily something they should be worrying about? Or do you think this is the number one most important thing? Or what do you think of this type of tactic?
Well, I mean, I think the most obvious thing to look at is if it was based on feelings, wouldn't we all just do extensions? I mean, I can make myself when you get off the extension after a drop set or whatever, and you literally want to scream.
I'm going to cry sometimes. Yeah.
Like that, I don't get that off of a set of 500 on squats. You're smoked, you're tired, but you want to talk about the feel? Well, then I feel much more doing extensions with 200 pounds for reps.
Yeah. Right.
There's no connection between the feel and what works. And that's what gets lost, I think, by a lot of people.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. I think that there's an overemphasis on this. Obviously, there's certain exercises that lend themselves much better to that type of stuff. But I always just look at the reality of the situation. If your feet are in a good place, well, even no matter where your feet are, you can't take the quads out of a leg press. That's the thing. No. It goes the other way too. Some people are like, I'm trying to do these for glutes, but I keep feeling my quads. I'm like, yeah, it's a leg press. Like you can't take your quads out of a leg press. That's like, it's impossible. Like the knee wouldn't extend without the quad flexing. It just doesn't work. So people, they take the muscle isolation thing way too far beyond what is logical or the reality of what they're doing. And, you know, if you're going deep on a leg press, your quads are doing a shit ton of work, and maybe you don't feel them that much on that exercise, but sometimes it doesn't matter, because if you're leg pressing 6 plates for 10, and then in 3 years you're leg pressing 8 plates for 10, I guarantee your legs are bigger. And that's the bottom line. And that's what we've all seen so many times, you know, that I think people have an overemphasis on feel sometimes, and they start doing things that are counterproductive.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that's gotten lost a little bit with bodybuilding, because we have so much information and there's so much overthinking, that I really try to remind people, like that's why I love working with Aceto. He would say things in the most layman terms possible, to the point that you thought, does he even know why? And actually, I saw it one time. I think it was on a post, or maybe it was probably back in the forum days. Someone came at him with like, well, you can't explain why. And he immediately broke down like the scientific reason that he was doing what he was doing. And I was like, oh, yeah, he knows that part too. But my point is so when you're thinking of these things, take a step back. Like, for example, what's the best way to get a big tricep? Well, it sounds like it would be just a straight down, you know, do what Ron hates. Don't put a handle on the cable. Just grab the ball and push straight down, because that's going to burn your tricep a lot. So that's got to be better than a 315 close grip bench, or, you know, an extension. None of us should do shoulder presses because they don't burn the same way a lateral is. Nobody should do even a bench press because a cable crossover hurts more. It burns. You know what I mean? If you walk backwards through things, it gets really sensible that, okay, those things don't make sense. I don't remember Ronnie just doing extensions, but I do remember him squatting 800. Quads are pretty big.
Yeah, it comes down to mechanical tension, and it's not always going to be a situation where you're feeling it like you would on a certain high rep isolation exercise. So, you know, when I hear people saying they're trying to take their quads out of their leg press, or they're trying to take their glutes out of their squat, or that's sort of the real alarm, like, you know what I mean? That's the, like, I'm like, oh, there's like a disconnect here with the reality of the exercise they're doing. And, you know, sometimes they wind up using so little load that it just like completely negates, you know, the time and effort they're putting into it.
Yeah. Here's one thing I've seen. So let's take a guy, and I think this is real common. You take a guy who's like 4 years in, he's pushing hard, he's got good quads now, but when he turns around, hams and glutes aren't as strong. You know, I've seen a lot of guys that get that like real strong round quad. Then you look at them and everything they're doing, they got their feet real close together, they're leg pressing, you know, these, and they've got like really good quads. But now my goal is to say, like, okay, so this season, let's focus on bringing your hamstrings up. And what we might do is do some more, you know, actual hamstring focused work, like, you know, whatever, stiff leg deads or RDLs. We might do a hamstring curl before we do a compound movement like a leg press. And then maybe I'm going to have them use like a slightly different stance on that leg press. But I can guarantee you this, that we get through that season, we've focused on growing their hamstrings. Their quads have not suffered a bit. If anything, they've still grown. Like, we don't have to do like a quad focused leg day for that guy. I guarantee you that those quads were still going to grow in that process for all the reasons you're talking about right now. You know, you put out doing a leg press, I don't care how high and wide your feet are, quad is still going to be in it to an extent, especially if you're a guy that's already got like, you know, stronger quads and you're trying to bring up that hamstring. Like, you don't have to worry about the quads. They know what they're going to do. They're going to take care of themselves in the process.
Yeah. Yeah. You can't, your nervous system runs itself. You know what I mean? So yeah, you know, I hear bodybuilders say that, you know, I'm going to try not to use my glutes on these. I'm like, no, don't. using your glutes will enable you to use so much more load that the quads will be doing like double the work.
Right.
You know, like you have to get the exercise maximize your exercises, you know, in the form that you're using. So, you know,
I think there's an element of perspective too, because I feel like I'll go all the way back to when I was training in my parents' basement and I saved up for my hexagon dumbbells, and the heaviest dumbbells I had were 35 pounds. Okay. And then I could make 50-pound dumbbells, slapping them together. And I've got these great big plates on the ends. So when I was doing like an overhead press at 14 years old, when I got to the 35s, they were the heaviest that I had. And I was like, oh shit, we're getting to the heavy dumbbells now. You know what I mean? So I picked those things up and I press them. And then I go back to the gym, like the real gym. And guess what? Those 35s are pretty much at the start of the rack. And they just keep going. You know what I mean? You go to 100, 125, 100. You go to some gyms, 200 pounds on dumbbells. But my point is like, you get caught up in that idea of, well, maybe I'll back the weight off, when in the reality, I can guarantee you that if you guys have the opportunity to train with people like Ron and Dusty, hang out with guys who have been at an extremely high level, it changes your perspective on what you need to move in the gym when you see people who are like, this is 315 on the bar, and this is just like, not even hard for them. We haven't even warmed up. It hasn't even gotten scary yet. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's like, the amount of weight we need to move is just astronomical compared to what we might think in our head. 225 is a hard set for me. I'm going to back down to 185 to focus on the quads or focus on the hams.
Yes.
How about we just work on getting to 315
and
then 405?
Poundages up. Yeah. Yeah. I still think, I watched this guy do a TED talk on how being an athlete at a young age changes your nervous system for the rest of your life. Yeah. It's pretty interesting. But anyways, and I was just thinking of at the end of grade 11, I was squatting 405. Right. And I just think of how much of an advantage that was for me starting out to have built that foundation. And sure. I try to remind everyone, I'm like, get strong. All you young guys that are just starting out and you're, just get strong in the gym. Get your training weights up, and focus on it. And I remember how obsessed I was with getting stronger on the squat. I remember sitting in class and writing, stuff like smashing 365 tonight. I remember writing that in my book.
You're such a meathead.
Doodling.
Such a meathead.
Such a meathead.
He was supposed to be writing his spelling words. He just wrote over and over, smashing 385
smashing
tonight.
365 tonight. And, I remember eating a half a loaf of bread with peanut butter in class one day. I was a complete meathead. So
when you were in 11th grade at that time?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's amazing.
But I just remember how obsessed I was with getting stronger. It was I'm getting 6 reps with this because I got 5 last week. So today I have to get 6.
Yeah.
Right.
And that sort of just click, 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 just clicking up the strength. And I remember squatting 405 the summer after grade 11. It was the summer before grade 12. I squatted 405. And I remember just being like, shit, that went up easy. I'm going to squat 5 plates by the end of grade 12. My mindset was that way just because of what I'd been doing, So you have to get that momentum, I guess. That momentum, try to build that momentum. And when you get strong, when you just focus on getting strong, everything else just takes care of itself.
Yeah.
People start saying, man, you're getting big. Yeah.
You
know what I mean? You can eat a shit ton of food and you don't seem to get fatter. That's just how it works. It's just, we weren't thinking about any of that stuff.
I'm glad you're talking about this because I do feel like it can get lost a little bit when we talk about lifting weights on the podcast, because when we say go real heavy, your definition or Dusty's definition of real heavy might be different than what the listener thinks. And I think that just having the opportunity to see what you guys mean by really heavy, that in itself is an influencing factor. And it could be the thing that turns people on to being like, oh, you're right, Ron. I just need to get stronger at this point, you know?
Most of your problems are solved if you just add another plate to your squat in those early years.
Is that just life in general?
I was going to say, I wanted to take that right to life. Do you have any financial problems? Just get to 585 on a squat.
Put a plate on your squat. Everything in your life is probably better.
Yeah, sure. She left, but the next girl's going to love a good squatter.
But just think, if you put a plate on your squat, it means your nutrition and sleep are good. It's probably healthy.
I love that because it's actually, and Ron, I know you have this because you're spoiled with the gym, but so our gym that we go to is the high school gym around town. And of course, a lot of people complain because you got 10 kids standing in a circle, not doing anything. But I got to tell you, the kids that train, sometimes I'll be in there and I'll stop and just watch. And I just think to myself, everyone bitches, but man, it's good to see. There's a kid, I named him after I learned his name. His name's Daniel. So now his name is Deadlift Daniel. And the reason is because I'm sitting in the gym one day and we're training, Nikki and I look over and I see this kid standing in front of 405 on the ground. And I'm like, he's 165 pounds, maybe. I was like, he's going to sumo it, but still, it's 405. And I look over and I'm like, well, we're traditional. That ain't going to happen. I was like, all right, well, let's see, kid. 3 reps later, he sets it down. I was like, oh, shit. You're that
no
kid.
Kidding.
Like I had to walk over. I was like, hey, you have no idea who I am, but damn. Like
that's wild, man.
And they were just clean reps. He just puts it down all like nothing. I'm like, and I know what he was thinking. I got to get to 495. Like I'm sure of it. Yeah. You know what I mean? And
that's
and
why
now
he's
I guess
at 405.
His single is over 5 now, from what I understand. I'm like, I love watching that stuff, So some of them get it, and it does just become more muscle eventually. Of course, the eating, blah, 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 blah. But he's not in there going, well, I think I could probably feel a cable row better.
Yeah.
No, and also too, think of like, there's a whole nother hour in the mental building, like, the all those reps. Just think of all those reps you chipped away at when you were first building your squat. Like I remember back when you were with like iForce, you were still free bar squatting like 6 plates for reps.
Yeah.
Like you would put a barbell on your back, walk it out of the rack, smash it for like a set of 10. I remember seeing an iForce video where I was like, holy shit. Jesus.
Back to the body, love that stuff.
Yeah. But just think of all the reps you chipped away at, 405 for 10, 405 for 12. Okay, I'm going up. 4.5 for 5. I just think of that stuff, and that's the secret.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah. That is the secret, and I love that you said that because it really is. And one of my favorite things. I had a guy one time. I was doing deads, and he said, "What part of the back are you focusing on?" And I said, all of it.
Like my whole body. It's like body
tomorrow, my glutes will hurt and my traps down to the bottom of my ass and my hams will all be sore because I did deadlifts today.
Your training split.
Higher reps.
your training split is chest and biceps, shoulders and tris, quads, hams, and then that day is just called car accident.
Yeah. We just do it all in one. So that was a great topic because it's something that you do see a ton. And particularly, I mean, I've got a guy in our gym that brings bands and just does them. And I'm like, number one, go home. That's why you're here with us. But number two, I'm sure it's burning.
Yeah.
So it's like, this is a good workout. And, you're just like, there can't be progression. If I want to, hurt someone, I don't come with a piece of paper to give them paper cuts. I hit them with a sledgehammer, one finger at a time. Like I'll still make it hurt really bad, but a sledgehammer is the way to go. And I think that's where we get lost. It's like, that saying, I think Dante is the one that taught me that was a lot of people are bringing a scalpel as a tool when they should be bringing a sledgehammer. Like just hit it all.
Yeah.
I
I noticed we had people in our last episode, or was it the one before that? Does Dante come up?
Oh yeah, yeah.
And they were
Always.
like requesting him again in the comments, like, "Hey, you just man, every time you bring him up, we just
You guys still think he's real? That's so cool. You thought that was a
Here's
human.
one. Mr. Dante Trudel, if you are reading this, please join us as a fourth person into podcast. They say one day dreams come true. So I will post this every week until the end of the world and a day after. Big fan from Poland.
Just so you
that's
know,
an awesome comment. I saw that one and I was like, oh damn. You know,
we bring
to
Dante
the end
on, the
of
rest
the
of us can
world
just
and
be
one
gone.
day after.
Yeah. Some dedication.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
It's good planning.
Okay. Are we talking about how we shave our heads?
I've got a physique critique for you guys from one of our listeners. And I asked him too last week. I was like, he sent it to me last week. I was like, dude, if you can remember on Monday to send that to me, because guys, we record Mondays. I was like, then I'll be sure to get it on. Otherwise, I knew I would have forgotten. But his name is Daniel. So he's 39 years old, 5'9", stage weight. He says is 183. Weight limit is 202. He also adds, he said, I broke my spine. Actually, let me just put up the first pictures as I talk. You guys can start to evaluate him here. Let's see. Here's one shot. Boom.
Wacky.
You got really good shape, really nice condition here too. I'll put both of these up, and let me see if I can find one more to throw up here too. All right. And so I've got a back shot here too, so I'll get to that one shortly. Figure we could start by talking about these. What do you say here? He says, I did win the German nationals. So he broke his back at 20 years old, got titanium implants and stuff on my lower back on the left side. He says, I've got some decent scars since. He says, this is important for later. He says, I did win the German nationals in overall in classic division last year and switched to NPC and been competing with the CP classic physique division since. He said, did 5 competitions last year, Dennis Wolf Classic, Olympia Amateur in Portugal. He placed second 2 times, it looks like, then third and second, I think, out of 10. He said, oh, no. Oh, and then he got maybe in 2 tenth places, I think he's saying. In the Olympia last year, there were 40 guys in the B class. I managed first call out, and I got center for 5 minutes, started posing there. Then they moved him out to 10th. Anyways, he's hopefully find some surgeon to remove the scars, and he'd love feedback. Says sorry also for the longer text, but he appreciates the show so much.
Well, I mean, the guy looks great. What's he weigh? 186?
Yeah, he's got like a ton of room, dude. He's
Especially at 5'9", you said, right?
Yeah, 183, and he could be 202. He doesn't look
got
183.
Bird bones.
He's got a great shape and, real nice looking physique and, yeah. I got nothing negative to say about that guy's physique. I mean, you want me to tear him to shreds? Like, I don't know.
I have something. I don't like him.
I don't know. I'm too nice to people because I just appreciate what they're doing, Yeah. You need bigger arms and, you need bigger delts. And it's like, yeah, he knows that. He's training hard. Like,
yeah. Well, you'd probably like to hear something. I mean, let me show the back pictures too, because I know I got a couple of those. And he did say he had some situation, with health.
Did he say he had spinal surgery?
Yeah, he says he's got like some titanium plates and stuff. Let me see here. I think I have to pull those up again. Here they
Physique
are.
is awesome.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, here's a back shot, man. It's not like this is awful or anything.
Well, he's got his cardio regimen down. Jesus.
Yeah, I would say that, like, if anything, that the front is stronger than the back.
Yeah.
Right.
Like if I had to say something, that's where I'd probably start. Bring that one over.
The thing that's obvious that he already knows is he's got to bring up his back. The issue is he has to be more creative, I think. I mean, I'm assuming there are movements he cannot do. I could be wrong, but that's an assumption. So if I'm correct, what can't you do? Tell me that so I can tell you what you could do in its place. Because or if you can do everything and maybe it's just a coincidence you had a back injury and it's just a weaker body part for you. I mean, we wouldn't be talking about his back being weaker if the rest wasn't so damn good.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like compared to the rest of you, your back needs to come up, but you know that.
His back almost looks like if you look at the back and glutes, it almost looks like it looks like he could be in better condition. Whereas from the front, it looks like he's pretty much, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So maybe he's also one of those guys that stop looking at the front of your body. Like, I don't care how dry and crisp your quads are. You keep dieting until your back and glutes look like that. And maybe that would also help. Just, part of the problem is that he's got a little bit of condition left on the back and glutes that he doesn't have on the quads and abs left. You know what I mean?
Hey, yeah. Scott, will you pull up the other back shot that's got better lighting real quick? I want to look at something. Okay, these really bad scars you're talking about, I can't see them.
Right?
Yeah, so, I don't know what he's talking about.
Forget whatever it is I can see it, but that's because you literally told me and I looked for it.
Right.
I hate to be so tree huggerish on this, but I have a feeling another part of it is in your brain, your back is a weakness, and you probably approach your training from a negative light with it. Like, well, my back's going to always be a problem because I have this issue. Like, you're telling me if you pay a surgeon to fix those scars, you're either rich or stupid because they're a non-issue. They're not affecting your look at all. So I wouldn't worry about those. And I would just look at your back as something to accomplish and chase and just get better every day. Like Ron was talking about a few minutes ago on squats. Like, I feel like when anything you do, when you bring it to a negative front, it's like when you walk in the gym, go, I don't feel like I've got it today. Well, you don't because you just made the decision. So when you walk into back training, you need to have that same excitement and knowing you're going to blow it up that you do with those crazy legs of yours, and things will change. Because I like I said, there was a huge explanation on these terrible scars.
Yeah.
That are not a problem. I mean, I thought I was going to see like chunks out of your back, not a scar on the low lat. It's a hefty scar. And I'm sure when you're not painted, it's, a little more noticeable, but on stage, it's causing you no issue.
Yeah. He said, I can't deadlift and stuff, right?
He said, I can't do squats, deads, or leg press, or else I'm in agony for weeks.
Yeah.
Well, you don't need to worry about anything with your legs because they look silly.
Yeah, but he could still do chest supported T-bar rows, and he can still do
dumbbell row.
All sorts of hammer rows, and he can still load the shit out of the back. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
So that's all he's got to focus on is just get in those rows and get that back moving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's about thinking about what you can do, not what you can't. I mean, look at how many people, Dorian with the squatting, a lot of people, you got to squat. No, you don't. You got to dead. No, you don't. Like I can name a great bodybuilder who skipped everything you have to do and still has the muscle to prove it. Yeah. And I can also tell you that I've done every variation of bicep training to the known to man, and my biceps still suck. So it don't matter what you do.
A lot of our advice won't help because your genetics have predetermined your fate.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, with everything
he was awesome.
Everything
one
you
more
do with
touch,
chest supported, and everything there's nothing that could really hold him back. And 39 years old, I mean, he's not young, but I get the vibe he hasn't. He only said he's been in I think 4 or 5 shows, so it's not like he's done this for a long time. I don't know, man. I feel like he probably could do it, especially too. What I found, and we talked about this before, is that for me, a lot of my back training came down to technique. And just changing that technique up a little bit is all that it took. And I always was scratching my head, like, why is my back not growing like everything else? Well, it was just something really small. And it was just about, it almost sounds contrary to what we were talking about earlier, but like I wasn't getting the activation in my back. You know what I mean? I wasn't feeling the back. I mean, I was, but it's like I was also getting like a lot of bicep, and I wasn't getting the stretch that I needed. It's such a complex muscle group to train, I think, compared to everything else. I think for me, at least, back was the hardest thing to grow.
I think, like, you know, I don't know how correct this is, but I used my pump to determine whether, when I said, do you feel these? You know, like back in the day when we're training, somebody be like, do you feel these? Well, it was the pump that determined my answer. I wasn't thinking about like during the exercise.
Yeah.
Like if I did 3 hard sets of something and my freaking lats were going to pop, then I'd be like, that's a great exercise. Like it wasn't about how the exercise felt. It was about the result of the pump and like, you know what I mean? If I tried something and then the next day my lats were crippled, I'd be like, oh, okay, that's a good movement.
Yeah.
You know, it was like, that was the feedback that counted. It wasn't like, do I feel it while I'm pulling on the handle? So we just had I just always kind of looked at it a different way. You know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, now I feel things so much better than I ever did, but I think that's just repetitions and
for sure, that's your connection.
Mind muscle connection just gets crazy, you know? That's what I mean about people starting out. Don't worry about that as much.
Yeah.
I had an interesting question. Do you mind if I throw one in here?
Shoot. Yeah.
If you could be any Mr. Olympia's training partner for any one Olympia,
who
would you pick? And you get to do the full thing. You get to train with them the entire time and go to the show and be like backstage for the win and everything. Like that was a good question.
That's a great question.
I already know my answer, and it has nothing to do with training.
Do it.
Arnold. I gotta say it, Arnold. Like, you think back to those days, like in the 70s, and hanging out at Gold's and sitting on the beach. They're probably all like eating food, smoking weed all the time, and going to parties at night. They're doing coke with actresses, and all that stuff. I go back with Arnold. Was that you, Ron, that was telling that story? No, it was Danny DeVito. Did we talk about that?
It was Charlie Day from Always Sunny was telling his favorite Danny DeVito story.
Yeah, I saw that recently. And he said, what was it? That they walked into this party and all the big name celebrities. They had prepared these lines of Coca-Cola, I'll say, for them.
Yes.
And they had spelled out each of their names. And, DeVito and then Schwarzenegger. And Arnold was like, Danny, look at my name.
Look how long the name is.
Look how long my name is. That's what he's saying.
Yeah.
Everyone was like, yeah.
He got the most.
Yeah. He got the most cocaine.
So nothing to do with training. I just feel like if you could time hop back, and not that I partake in drugs or anything like that, but just that period would be so wild. I don't care.
What year? You have to pick one year.
Oh, I don't even know, man. Because for me, they kind of all blur together. So I'll just say like the 75 pumping iron era.
Well, think about 75 was when they were following him around, right?
Yeah.
So
and he was like, been
in the movie.
He was already kind of famous, right?
Yeah, he was already like. He had,
just
I think, that big ego at that point. Everybody knew who he was. He basically owned Venice Beach and Santa Monica at that point. So, yeah, that'd be a good era.
Yeah, that's funny.
Versus catching him like 10 years before that when he was like, doesn't know as much English and he's just trying to make his way around.
Right, 1970. He's like,
I don't care about seeing him get his break. You know what I mean? Let's just get to the parties.
He doesn't have any money yet. Can't pay for anything.
Right.
Were you guys even sleeping at that
75,
point?
he's already a millionaire.
Was he? Yeah, in real estate.
He was a millionaire
stuff, right?
while he was still Mr. Olympia. He was a millionaire before he was an actor. That was one of the key lines in the documentary. Was that he's like, I didn't have to play any of these bullshit roles.
Yeah.
I could just do the star roles. Just wait for the star roles. He just bypassed the whole earning your acting stripes. Just
I will wait until they create a character for me and call it a day. That's so great.
Man. That's kind of like what The Rock did when he like left football. He was already integrated into the wrestling world because of his dad, right?
Yeah.
And he already had so much experience around it and being in it and around it that when he left football, he just called Vince. He's like, yeah, I'm ready.
Yeah.
Finally.
Just skip all the other stuff. Okay. What about you, Dusty?
So I'm going, this was tough because before Scott's comment, I was going Yates.
You were thinking
because of a lot of reasons. Well, not just the training, but just having spent enough time with Dorian in a gym and things, I would have loved to experience him. But I have to alter that and go to the 09 Olympia Cutler. Oh. And the reason is I would want to spend the entire prep with him while he was angry that people didn't think he could win. Because I would love to have if you hang around someone long enough and even if you're just quiet, they're going to start saying stuff out loud that's in their mind. And he had a chip on his shoulder that entire year because he was written off. Yeah. And I loved, I would have loved to have been there once he won, loved to have been there when he brought up that literally no one had him winning. And he made sure to say it because everyone was like, we knew it. He's like, no, you didn't. It's not what you were saying. So it would be really fun to see that because I do feel like that's an area where our world is weakened now is the moment people have any sort of pushback, they stop or melt or break. And you should just get pissed off, And I thought that was, it was emotional being there, not being in that process, just knowing from the outside, like, oh, everyone's hating on him. I can only imagine like the vindication that his family and friends and training partners felt when he shoved it up everyone's ass.
With that quad stomp.
Great. Yeah. Before that, when he walked on the stage, Ron knows he was there. He walked out 10 feet and stopped and just let everybody know it was over. So that's my vote.
That's a good one. Not as much, hookers and blow, but it'll work.
But I'm in Vegas. I can do that on my own. Hanshaw. Never mind.
Yeah, that's funny. It's funny because I'm thinking of the whole experience, right? Just like Scott and you were like, so when I think, Dorian, I'm like, then I got to live in Birmingham for like 6 months.
It's going to be cold.
And I don't really want to live in Birmingham for 6 months. Yeah. You know what I mean? And also like I know that Dorian would be no fun.
No, like no laughs, no laughs.
None. You're just mad that you're there.
Yeah, like you'd be his training partner, and then like he'd be like, "Hey, see you tomorrow at 4."
Yep, if that.
Right. But I think that Jay would probably be the best bet in Vegas. There'd be lots of easy living.
Yeah,
it would be great. Be pretty posh setup. I'm sure there'd be lots of perks to living in Vegas for 4 months and training with Jay for the Olympia. Now it comes down to which year.
I stole one.
And
you guys could both. You could both do the same year together. If Dusty
he picked 09. He picked 09, and I'm thinking that 06 when he beat Ronnie might be like a hell of an interesting ride.
Right.
And then, then you'd get to say, well, I was part of this.
It was like classic.
You were the reason,
Jay,
Yeah.
You were the reason he won, if you think about it. He
the only thing is you have to put up with the first generation Jay haircut.
This haircut.
Yeah, you get first gen haircut on that.
Right. I could take credit for telling him to do the I got electrocuted haircut before the Olympia.
You remember his friend Dave Burley?
Oh yeah,
I beat him in 2008.
Did you really?
Yeah.
So I went to the Muscle Max store in Venice Beach. Max Muscle. Thank you. First time I'd ever been there, and I was with my girlfriend, and we had like these beach cruisers with baskets on them and stuff. And we went in there. I was like, oh yeah, like I wonder if Jay's here, because I see him in the store on videos and stuff. And of course he wasn't there, but Dave was there. And I look around and stuff, and I was like, yeah, and I knew what I was going to buy a T-shirt, but I was like, I'm going to come back and buy it later, So I talked to Dave and everything, and then I was walking out the door, and because I'd asked him, I was like, hey, is Jay here? Is Jay going to be in town? And he says, I'm walking out the door, and I'm about to walk out, and he goes, oh, hey, buddy, come here a minute. I was like, yeah, and he come over to the desk, and he's like, Jay wanted me to give this to you, and he handed me this picture.
No way.
Yeah. Yeah. He is, kind of cheesy. He was like, Jay wanted me to give this to you.
That's so sick.
It was pretty cool, man.
Did you put that in the basket?
I did, dude. I put it in the basket. It was like, I didn't have anything else to do with it. And then we rode around all day, on Venice Beach, good era of golds, of Venice and golds at that time. And I just was like real careful not to bend it or anything. And then flew it all the way home.
What year would that have been?
It had to be, I'm thinking 2007-ish.
Right.
Somewhere in there. Yeah. And it was, he said, he was like, oh, he's at Night of Champions right now.
He's in New York.
He was in New York.
That's funny. I remember I went to Max Muscle in 97.
Okay.
And Dave had the store back then.
Yeah.
Right. I remember walking in and hoping that there'd be some pros there. And I was like, oh, is anyone around? And he goes, oh, Paul Dillette just left. And I was like, damn. Okay. You know what I mean? It's funny.
He's such a cool guy. He's still in the mix in so many ways. I always thought that it was cool that he had the spot, because if you can't be, if you can't be the guy that's like the Jay Cutler, whatever, what is cooler than creating the spot where they all come and hang out? They all know you. They all respect you and what you bring to the table. I think that had to have been an awesome time in his life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That was the spot. Everyone would hang out there, By the time I got there, it was starting to dwindle down. It wasn't as much like the regular thing, when I was going to Venice regular, every other weekend. But,
yeah,
he
was so big when I saw him. And I told him, I was like, dude, you are so big. And he was like, oh, I'm the little one out of my buddies.
Yeah.
He had a crazy back. I remember that. He always had a really wide lat spread and stuff like that. So it was cool to, it's awesome to have you say that, because I always felt I'm like, damn, this guy's big. And he was only a heavy. And I was like, it's a big ass heavyweight.
Yeah. I remember him saying that though. He's like, I'm the little one out of my friends.
It's a good group of friends.
The Venice days.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. We got a Patreon question or something like that?
Yeah, we got a bunch of stuff here, actually.
I screenshot a bunch, too. I'm going to skip through them and see if there's anything way off the rails from where we're at.
All right. Here's one from Patreon from Jim McDonald. He says, have you all seen what happened to Roelly Winklaar? It seems like it seems he had that shoulder surgery and lost a lot of mass. Understandably, do you think we've seen the last of Roelly as a competitive bodybuilder?
I thought he was flat out retired.
I thought so too.
Yeah, I think that the shoulder surgery might have been kind of the way it was easier for him to be done, and he just stopped because, I don't think it should be confused and think that he just lost a bunch of mass on accident. I've learned it's much harder to lose the muscle than you think. You have to get a bicycle. You have to do street tricks. It's crazy.
You have to get a bicycle.
I'm not riding a bike. Guess I'll just stay big. I don't want to hurt myself.
Roelly was one of those guys that he might have been, and I can't remember the year for sure. Was he at the Arnold in 16?
I assume. I can't remember.
Yeah.
But I think it was 16. It was right around there. And the way I said it on the show back then, but it's on Bodybuilding Nerds, but the only way I could describe him is it's he was so freaky that when they called their names and each guy came out and hit a few poses, he came out and stood there and then he hit this most muscular, and he was so on that day. It was like when you see on a National Geographic show where they poke a puffer fish and it just goes woof. It's everything just freaking changed on him. He looked like a different animal. And I really that was the day I really fell in love with the way his physique looks. And you could catch him on so many times where he's off, but I feel like he's one of those one of those drag racing funny cars that it's either going to like just tear it straight down the track and light fire, or it's going to crash. But there's very little in between. You know what I mean? He's not he's not like a you know, who am I thinking of? A Dexter who's just going to always do the same thing. You know, such a wild look.
I love his physique for sure. He's one of the ones that's like, you know, if you could look like anyone just walking around, you know, he's a great option. I always thought Victor Martinez was like my favorite, just physique. You know, like I've seen pictures of him back in the day, like in jeans. He was at an event, he just like took his shirt off and he was standing there. And I was like,
yeah,
what? Why does it look like you just trained your whole body? Like, why is everything so round? What is happening? Yeah, there's so many stories about that, Scott. You'll love this. A friend of mine, he did the USA's the same year Flex Wheeler did, and everyone knew Flex is coming. He's crazy. And he goes, I'm sitting backstage and I see him. He takes his shirt off and he goes, that's it? He's like, I'm having no problem with this guy. And he just watched him because he couldn't believe it. And then he watched him grab a set of 20s and start doing some, like, just moving the blood around. And he goes, I watched him put on 25 pounds.
No kidding.
And he was like, I just watched him beat me backstage.
That's wild.
He's like, you do not understand how much he transformed pumping up.
That's what happens with Drea too. Like when she pumps up, it's just like a different muscle all of a sudden.
Yeah, I don't have any of those muscles.
So I think it was a 2018 Arnold. He was fourth, and it was Cedric and Dexter and
did Cedric win?
No, I don't think he won that year.
Okay.
Don't look it up, Ron. We never tell the answers on this show.
Yeah.
We
How about this one?
Skip it.
This is a fun one. I'm not prepared for it, but we can go on the fly here from Patreon from Phil. He says, okay, kind of random one. How about a Newlywed game with Ron and Dusty? Ron has to guess Dusty's favorite exercise and vice versa. Favorite compound, favorite cheat meal food, etc. Let's go with those three. You guys have so let's start with favorite exercise, guys.
Oh, this is a tough one for Ron. You're not even giving me you're just saying favorite exercise.
Yep, that's it.
Because a dumbbell press is one of his favorite exercises, but he loves the leg press. You know, that's a.
But if he could only do one, let's look into Ron's psyche.
Well, if he could only do one, then I know that Ron would do a leg press because he wants to do man shit. So that's my guess on legs. How'd I do, Ron?
Is this true?
That's a pretty good guess. That's what I would say, leg press. I was thinking, and I settled on leg press like a second before he decided to. So we'll go with that.
In that case, I have a sound effect for you, Ron.
Shots fired! Hey, Terry, I did my first desk pop.
First desk pop.
I was saving that one for you.
I was waiting for that.
Desk pop.
I was saving that one for you.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
And Ron's cheat meal is easy because it's the same thing it always is.
Not a sandwich.
It's a margarita pizza, a steak, and double white rice every time.
Yeah, that's
okay.
That's what I order every time I go out with Dusty. So
doesn't even matter
or
where
fries.
we go, though. They could be
or sometimes I
world.
just go all fries.
All fries. How about compound?
Did I miss
compound, Dusty?
His favorite compound? Well, if we're not talking about test, obviously, so it's EQ. There you go.
Oh, test doesn't count?
Yeah, I think test is a given.
Because people always give that, so I just go with test and EQ as his favorite smashed together. That's my guess, unless he wants to go to Anadrol. he's had some. I got to remember too. He has had some real D-ball, which makes it a real questionable situation. I never have
D-ball is like the answer I'm thinking of pushing out on stage for that one.
Yeah.
Because D-ball, but he can only say that one time. Because the rest of his career, he chased a real D-ball.
Anadrol. Yeah.
I never had real either, so it was really disappointing. Not that I didn't get good gains from both, but what people talked about when I got into bodybuilding with D-ball, I took it and I was like, I'm going to be huge tomorrow.
Right?
The old Russian Piranha Ball 5. That's
Whoa.
what the real D-ball was. Piranha Ball 5, and it was a 5 milligram tab. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And it had Russian writing all over the box and stuff. They were
Look at him.
magnifique.
Just hit the chef kiss right there over
Oh,
D-ball.
yeah. Like 25 megs a day and you're benching 4 plates.
Yeah, instantly.
Oh, man.
All right,
D-ball
Ron,
challenge.
you're up. Dusty's favorite exercise.
Everyone knows
Dusty's
my
favorite exercise is a deadlift.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's easy.
it wasn't going to be tough. You know,
He's invested his entire the lot of his self-esteem and his worth as a man in his deadlift, and
Exactly.
he will deadlift
All of it.
until he has a team of surgeons standing at the platform with a court order demanding that he stop deadlifting. For the sake of the healthcare system, it cannot keep up with his requirements.
That one's cheating.
That's good. That's good. How about then cheat meal?
This one would be hard for him because I'm so fat.
Well, no, I think the perfect cheat meal for Dusty would be
Right now.
a nice. So I want to get a little specific. A really amazing.
Shit, he knows the answer.
Well,
I already know he knows the answer now.
it's either going to be a tomahawk steak with fries, or it's going to be a gourmet burger, like a really good, like you go to like a $40 burger spot, or it would be teriyaki because he just eats the same thing all the time, and it would just be teriyaki beef. But I don't really know what Dusty considers a cheat meal. Like, so
Cheating
gonna
is not
say-
the same to everybody in relationships and in food.
yeah, there you go. So I'm gonna say it's a delicious, because his favorite cheat meal would be going out with Nikki to eat. So I got to keep that in mind.
Yeah.
So I would say like sushi or a gourmet burger. I don't know. I'm hard on that one. Do I fail, Dusty?
You,
tomahawk
you
steak.
were almost there because my favorite go-to meal, I named it myself. It's called white trash with money because I like a really high-end steak
There you go.
with a box of Kraft dinner. So I have a 99-cent.
Oh, yeah.
carb
That would have been
meal.
hard to guess. That would have been hard to guess.
I'm thinking
And
of
then
like
we
a
did say the
restaurant
steak,
that serves that.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
as soon as he said a big steak, like he started listening, I was like, that's it. I want an $80 steak with a $1 side.
Although I feel like every time I've ever eaten with Dusty, his face just lights up with whatever food it is. You know
Because
what I
I'm
mean?
fat. I only got into bodybuilding to appear less fat when I was eating. That's it.
All right.
That's
And last
funny.
but not least, favorite compound, which this is going to be, I think I have a guess. So don't say whether he's right or wrong, Dusty.
I will not.
Okay.
You know, I'm a little undecided on this, on what Dusty's favorite compound would be if
I
we're
know
not
what it
counting
is.
test.
Yep. I know what it is. I'd
I
put
would-
money on it.
Oh, Scott's getting bold.
Pharmacy GH.
That's what I was going to say. That's what I was going to say.
Does that count?
If that counts, then we have a winner. I mean, I was trying to keep this a show that everyone could afford to play, but yes.
Right.
That's a good one. That's a good one. All right. How about this one? There was a question about rebounds on the last podcast. Remind Ron to talk about Scott Abel's cycle diet, and how that was designed to keep guys in a sort of perpetual show ready state. If I remember correctly, he'd pull a few high days out, and if it was being implemented properly, a guy could be ready for a show in 2 to 4 weeks, basically.
Well, he's completely correct that there was a thing called the cycle diet, and I did work with a coach named Scott Abel back in the early 2000s. He was really ahead of his time, one of the smartest guys I've ever met in the industry. And he helped me win my first national title in 2007. He was my coach, so he helped me a lot. And just helped me think differently, because like he was doing stuff that no one else was doing. Like he had me doing sprints on the bike, and he was telling me to use lots of sodium, and he was like, didn't care if I had white potatoes and white rice. Like, you know, I there was like a little bit of like, brown rice and stuff back in like the early 2000s, late 90s. A lot of guys were going like on everything, and he's like, no, it doesn't matter. It's, you know, don't worry about micromanaging all that shit. And you know, he just stripped it down and made it a little bit different for me, and he was a great coach. And the cycle diet was basically like you would contest diet all week. And then on Sunday or whatever, you would just eat like 15,000 calories. Like you would eat whatever you wanted, like 10,000 calories, no problem. And you'd stay in this state of like overcompensation, super compensation. So you would, be super balloon full and crazy pumps for like 3 days afterwards. And then you'd be right back down like 8 pounds and, do the cheat day again. And it was this like cyclical diet that he had set up. And I actually did it for like pretty much a whole year. And then on Wednesday night, I would also have like a night off the diet, and I would eat a whole bunch of food on Wednesday night too, because my metabolism was just cooking and I was staying really lean. And I did it for like pretty much a whole year in 2005. And when I went to start or 2006, and when I went to start my prep, I was 260, pretty lean. Like I had like super separated quads and great abs and veins in my legs. It's totally clean for 4 months. And 15 weeks later, I was 253. So I only lost 7 pounds the whole prep, and I like muscled up, and I came in with one of my best looks ever. So I did that diet, but I didn't want to do it after that because it was just too much. Like I found myself too obsessed with the cheat days. Like it became like a psychologically weird situation where I was just too obsessed. Like they were like the center of the universe. And I was like, that's weird. I don't want to be like, you know what I mean? I just want to go back to like normal dieting. Like,
when you started that, were you in pretty good shape, great shape, good shape, bad shape? Like were you dead off season when he was like, all right, we're going to try this now, or what was it?
Yeah, I was 320. I remember the first year I hit 320 was 2005 because I didn't compete. So I had the whole year off. And it was the first time I hit 320. And then he's like, okay, you're 320. I want to start thinking about the show next year. So let's get on this style of diet where you're going to be super strict during the week. You got to behave yourself. And then, none of this old off-season mentality. It's like, that's your meal. I don't care if you're hungry. Fucking stick it out. And on the weekend, we're going to cut loose. We're going to smash food and, fill out and all this. And he just got me going on it. I was like, oh, I'll give it a try. It actually was like a pretty awesome experience to do that for a long period of time, because I got to see like, man, I can eat a lot. Like I was eating like 10,000 calories, no problem on Saturday, and I would just roast through it. Yeah. And I wouldn't gain any fat at all. And the next week I'd be just as lean and starving again, and I could eat it all over again. It was crazy. But I just found that length of time, like I did it for like a whole year. And then that was the year that I had like 15 cheat days, because all we did for the prep was he just removed my Wednesday night cheat. Yeah. Which was like a extra large pizza and a tub of ice cream. He like removed my Wednesday night cheat and added some cardio, like 30 minutes a day, and started my cycle.
Huh. What was your cardio during the off season?
Like none.
This is like I hope you realize what you've just done. You just started 227 people on this diet on Thursday.
I like that. I like it. I like this a lot. It's actually got me thinking a little bit.
Yeah, and it was like I think I was eating like I remember I was having like 300 grams of carbs, 300 grams of protein. Yeah. Well, 350 protein, 300 carbs, and like pretty low fat. That was my day. That was my normal day. Like it's not a lot of food for a guy my size, right?
At 320.
Yeah. But I was like, just my body, it worked. And I didn't really do much for gear that whole year. I did like a little mini off-season cycle, I think, and I never really got huge. But then I yielded 2006. The point of this whole thing was that year in 2006, I yielded my very best look ever to date at that point.
No shit.
I'd never been that. That was a new level for me. I was like, oh wow, like I had a great year, and everyone was like, dude, you stepped up, because I took 05 off. So when I came back, it was like the next level of that was my second stage of nationals, is kind of what I think.
The second coming, if you will.
Yeah. Cause I did nationals a handful of times. Yeah. Second coming. I did nationals a handful of times. I took a year off, and then I came back and did nationals another handful of times, and I was way better. Like, so that was just kind of a neat experience.
I think it's cool because it does and I definitely understand why you would walk away from that. But I do find there's that line with clients where they're good enough that you're like, hey, I want you to have 2 or 3 cheats a week. Like I do try to keep my finger on that pulse.
Yeah.
And then I'll be like, you know what, you're doing pretty good. Have them a little more often. And the next thing you know, they're cheating 2 times a day. And I'm like, whoa, what happened?
I know.
Why are you getting fat? So it's like, it's a cool way to kind of rein that in, because it does. I mean, you essentially dieted for a year and then did a prep, which was the same diet. So it's not really shocking that you were nuts. And I think a lot of people who are listening to this right now are like, oh, I could do that. I think you'd find quickly that that would be a tough 6 days to get to that 7th. Once you're on week 10, 12, 42.
Yeah.
And that's where I could see the back to the loose is like, well, I can afford 1 more meal and 2 more meals, and now you're not doing it.
Yeah. And essentially it's kind of funny because I learned a lot about what I can put in my body and not get fatter.
Right.
And I sort of feel like it's part of how I do it now. Like I'm almost doing that diet now, but I'm doing it by feel and not by schedule. Like I look in the mirror and I'm like, I'm gonna have a pizza tonight. Like, you know what I mean? And then like, I'll just eat super, super clean for like 5 days straight. And
how hungry are you on a regular basis?
A little bit all the time.
Okay.
Like just a little bit. Like I could eat at any point, but I'm never really like, I don't know. Yesterday I went 5 hours without eating and I got home from riding and I was like really hungry. I was like, holy shit, I'm good. I gotta eat. Like so yeah. But I don't know. You learn what can you get away with,
So I want to roll this without even asking you guys. I had talked to you last week about wanting to do a little breakdown of the year that you put in with your training partner. We have those pictures, Scott. Can you pull those up? Because I would love to hear the breakdown of what you guys did during the year, because I really think it's a valuable thing. And I know we gave him a hard time last week, but it's like to see, I think, a physique that looks unattainable for a lot of people when they see where he is today. But it's not if you're disciplined. So can you kind of give us a little breakdown of what you guys did and didn't do? Supplements, food, all the above? I mean,
so
Braden looks nuts, dude.
Look at the legs.
Yeah.
So that's 1 year, like exactly 1 year. And it's about 10 pounds of pure muscle tissue, and probably a little bit of better condition.
A lot of condition, for sure.
Yeah, condition's definitely better.
Maybe we're talking 15 pounds of tissue. Those are the 2 photos that matter the most, those 2.
Yeah.
So it's just been like methodical and it's like Groundhog Day, man. It really is. Like, it's been great training with Braden because, he really absorbed everything that I had to offer, at the beginning. The first few years we trained together, I just kind of showed him exactly what I did and what I would always do and the principles that matter. And we didn't really talk much about it. Like, it's just, we just did it.
Yeah.
I guess it'd be like as far as volume goes, I mean, our split is everything gets hit once a week. It was 2 days on, 1 day off for most of the year. So it was a Dorian split. We did chest buys, quads, hams, day off, delts, tries, back, calves, day off. And then he's got that gym in his house, right? So he would do some extra calves here and there. And he would do abs in the morning, and he would do a little bit of extra stuff. Like sometimes he'd do some extra side delts on his own and stuff. But other than that, we just followed a traditional Dorian split. Volume was probably 6 to 8 working sets for big body parts. And 6 working sets for small body parts, 5 to 6 working sets for smaller body parts.
Okay.
Right.
And, just nothing complicated. Like legs was hack squats, presses, extensions, and then leg curls and stiffs. Like literally, that's it for the whole year. And then when the prep started, we thought, let's do 2 leg days, because he wanted to try splitting quads and hams up. And I was like, actually, that kind of works well for me. Let's go back to a 5-day split now. So every week is identical now for his prep. So we've been doing chest and bis, quads with a little bit of hams. And then Wednesday is back and calves. And then we got Thursday off. And then we got delts and tris Friday. And then we got hams and calves with 1 quad exercise on Saturday. So legs is kind of getting the twice a week treatment, but the volume's relatively the same. And that's it. Like, it's just, 2 pull downs, 2 rows for back, 3 rows. Yep. Braden doesn't deadlift at all. We haven't deadlifted once, but he got his stiff leg deadlift up to 4 plates for 12 in the off season. Nice. And he's doing stiff leg deadlifts with 190-pound dumbbells to start his prep.
Love it.
So he doesn't deadlift, but there's deadlifting. There's heavy ass stiff leg. There's heavy ass stiff leg deadlifts being done definitely once a week all year long.
What are you guys? I know you like dumbbell rows. What else are your row choices?
So we were doing dumbbell rows for a couple years. We got really good at them, and I couldn't do them for a while because my bicep actually hurt on dumbbell rows, but didn't hurt on anything else. And I was like, I just want to avoid these for a while. Yeah. So we stopped doing dumbbell rows, and then we just never went back to them. His back workouts this whole prep have been like a lot of chest supported T-bars. We're doing some like prime handle pull down stuff. That's very like, you have to really lock your lats in, really difficult lat exercises like that. 1 arm hammer rows, man. The DY row. Yeah. Loading that up. That's been that's been an overload exercise. Seated cable rows using all different kinds of handles. Yeah. Right. T-bar rows off the floor like you and me did, Dusty, like on the old school landmine. We were doing those in the off season.
Nice.
Yeah, but just basic. It's not anything complicated, but it's the repetition and the consistency and the mind numbing just sameness of it all.
Yeah.
And I think that's just the key, like a lot of people, I get it. Training's got to be fun, but you got to use those same exercises over and over because you got to know if you're getting stronger, and you got to progress, So like he attacked the hack squat all year and got up to 8 plates on the freaking hack with like a light band on it.
Nice.
And to start prep, I remember, I think his knee was sore, something, and he was like, I think I might like just opt out of hacks for we'll do something else for the prep. I'm going to do Smith machine squats, going to build up on that. And I was like, that's a good idea. You did enough on the hack. Like, it was getting crazy. And I was like, let's just step away, So we did it kind of without like really talking about it, but it was like, it made sense. So now he's been Smith squatting all prep, and it's just been going well. But
that's why I brought it up, though, because obviously I knew the answer for the question I was asking, but I wanted people to hear it because I feel like the thing that gets missed in bodybuilding a ton is the secret is the repetition and the big word consistency. That is, I really don't, I think most people, if you were to note every time you missed a meal, every time you half-assed a workout, every time whatever, a lot happens. I just had a client the other day, and he's had a rough off season. I mean, just things happen, life happens. No issue with him, but it's just been bumpy. Every time he turned around, there was something in the way. And the other day, he's in a groove now, and he goes, "Man, but what do we have to do to really take it up? Because my thoughts are the next level." And I said, "What you've been doing now, if we had been able to do it for the last 7 months, we'd be there. So now just do that every day. Just every day. Don't worry about the year, worry about the day." And I feel like if people don't realize, like they miss a meal, but they're not keeping score, and they break it down to the end of the year, and it's like, man, how many meals did you miss? And it ends up being 100.
Yeah.
And you're like, when I was obsessing with bodybuilding, if somebody said, "When did you last miss a meal?" I'd say, "I do not remember." I don't miss meals. It doesn't happen. You know, what did you eat today? What Chris told me. The show is in 11 months. I know.
Yeah.
Like that's where you have to get if you want those kind of changes. And that's why I wanted to bring it up is that's what he did is day in and day out. And I mean, the simplicity, like you said, it's awesome to see because that's the one area that I feel like the internet made things tough. Cause like, wait a minute, maybe I need to train like Ron's training. And then the next week, whoa, Justin Shire does this. I should do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then wait a minute. No. And you're like, dude, just do something and just stick with it. Whatever you choose, do that thing and progress in that way, and you'll be there. None of them are the secret. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I love what you guys have done. It's awesome, and it's great. I got to point out too, guys. That's a 4 week out picture, I believe, 4 or 5 weeks. Like,
5 weeks.
That's conditioning.
and there have been no reps in reserve. No, there haven't been. There's been a lot of forced reps, man. Like every working set, pretty much every working set. Certain things, there's no forced reps. You know, like we're pretty safe on the leg press. Like as soon as I got to lean into the sled, we rack it. But the hacks, I was getting my thigh into the sled a couple times. Let's get that. Keep that moving. You know, like there's some hard ass, like real hardcore failure training. A lot of it. Love it. So I don't know what to say about that. It just is what it is. And then the pictures look the way they do. So there you go.
It's great progress.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. I just, I try to like think if I could do it all again, what would I do?
Agreed.
And that's sort of what we've been doing. Like, I did a bunch of stuff that was just so hard on my body. And I just, you know, those days when you're banged up and your hip doesn't feel good and you still make yourself squat 5 plates for reps.
Yeah.
And then the next day you're fucking crippled and your whole one side of your body hurts and you're getting in and out of your truck. And like, man, I lived like that for years and I get it. But hey, let's try to not have the hip hurt to begin with, which is like a bunch of pain and injury management stuff that I've had to go through myself over the last several years has actually made me, I think I would have been a better bodybuilder had I had that sort of awareness younger. Right. You know,
for sure.
So, you know,
I had just a couple more notes of housekeeping. Number one, shout out to Miss Olympia, Natalia Coelho. She watches the show. She commented on the last episode saying how funny the show is. So I wanted to bring some attention to her and hope she's doing good at 8 weeks out, I think it is now.
Yeah. I think that's awesome. Like the fact that people of her caliber watch the show is just makes me laugh, you know?
Yeah.
It's like when I know bodybuilders, you know, like bodybuilders that watch it and it's like, oh yeah, it's for you guys, you know, like, and then, you know, like,
and her and James are watching, and you're like, "Wait,
yeah, you're like, this is awesome."
And then also too, we had so many people comment about Ron's rants, and I am really proud, Dusty. You know, because I missed a couple episodes ago when I tried, you know, to trigger Ron into a rageful rant. But I succeeded the last episode, and we got a lot of comments for it. So
Scott,
here's one.
Ron's rants are like love. You can't look for them. They'll find you. Just make a comment. It'll happen. So I had a client just now before the show started, Duke, who they've got the rescue, the powerful rescue. He sent me his pictures, and I got to pull it up real quick just because it was too good to for me to partially say what he said here. He said, trying to listen to Ron's advice on the front relax to prevent another rant and or aneurysm. Tough to feel like I'm inflating my lats without pulling a vacuum, but I'll keep playing with it.
That's funny. That's funny.
So it's become part of my life, your rants. He's like, he looked at his pictures like, oh shit.
I know I had a lot of people, they were like, was that about me?
Yes. No. If you gotta remember that's the Joe Bennett's thing. He said, I all I do is drop shoes. It doesn't matter who they fit.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
That's all you're doing.
That's true. It wasn't targeted. There was no targeting.
but you hit a lot of people.
I'm passionate about the front lat spread, Dusty.
You are. So that's what it is. Scott, just bring up passion.
Yeah.
And
That's what it comes down to.
Find a rant. You will find a rant.
That's what makes it so good. The passion.
Don't like to see potential wasted on stage. It hurts my feelings.
I'm done with you. Don't talk to me.
I had so many people send me DMs of like, that needs to be a shirt.
Yeah,
this needs to be a shirt.
I'm done with you.
I'm done with you.
That's
Waving
like
my
that's like the what's his name on the American Shark Tank. You're dead to me. That's your
yeah.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Hey,
Successful rant from Ron. So we'll get more, Scott, but just remember, don't look for them. They'll find you.
I do my best. Okay. Is that it?
That's it.
Also, we should ask people to, comment with questions. We need more questions. There was, I think, a couple I may have missed. So re-comment those if we didn't get to them. And, anything you guys have. We love like training questions, stuff like that. And of course, all the fun stuff too. But feel free to ask for the next episode because we're going to need them. Patreon, I think I got all of the It's Just Bodybuilding questions on. So I still have that thread over there. Feel free to put new questions in over there. I'd be happy to, grab them for the show next week.
Yeah. Are you all caught up from being away, Scott? Like, are you all back to completely normal?
Totally now. Yep.
Okay.
I'm pretty much back in the swing as of last week or so. So it's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know. Okay, guys. Remember, everyone, like, share, subscribe, comment, and
ring the bell.
You bet. I am mutant.com. Get your ISO surge, get your all in, and everyone should be on the gear. Thanks again, everyone. We appreciate it. And remember, it's just bodybuilding.
Shots fired! Hey, Terry, I did my first desk pop.